You ready, Mr. Green?
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody. Willie Bam Johnson here with Inside the Dojo, presented to you by Fuyao Legacy Magazine. We have Mr. Michael Jai White. I'm here, honored, my hero, my brother. You know, it's just an honor to be sitting here with him. You know, just connecting again. You done seen a couple of the past interviews where we talked about the empowerment of how the urban martial arts have really helped that generation of martial artists back in the 70s well into what we see right now. I was talking to you earlier about the point MMA, just like that missing link of just sparring. I know a lot of people sometimes forget that you're a real martial artist and you didn't did, I think the story is that you didn't did that 100 men fight and all that stuff. I mean, can you give them a little history on your experience in the martial arts and the sparring?
Well, yeah, I've done a number of styles. I think you're referring to in Kyokushin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they have the 100 men in Kumite, but I didn't do that.
Okay, okay.
But quite often you do these 10 and 20 and 30 man fights.
Okay.
Which are pretty hard, you know, because of the fact that you have to fight like nonstop, 20 to 30 fresh black belts who are trying to stop it.
Right.
So I mean, that's one of these things where it's one of the reasons why Kyokushin is really close to my heart, because it's something that hasn't given way to being commercial.
Right.
It's still, to get through something like that, you have to dig deep, because of course your body wants to fail. There's something that's going to get you past your comfort zone, and that's well past your comfort zone, fighting 30 men in a row. Right. So I mean, it's one of those things where that's sadly that concept is being lost in martial arts. I think martial arts should be tantamount to a paramilitary operation. Very much using the military terms. There's always a hierarchy in the military that there's nobody who doesn't answer to someone.
Right.
And there is a discipline that comes out of the traditional military that without that stringent discipline, you could not garner these the kind of will and determination that's fostered from that. And so that's what we miss when we kind of go too much on the business route in martial arts. Because then, some people call it watered down or whatever, but the fact is, people are missing a great deal when the training is less than it was intended.
Right. And that's interesting. Even when you were saying about I think when we talk about you got to dig down deep, it was really that emotion. I mean, would you agree? It was like they challenged that emotion, and either you're going to rise up and control that fear and stand up and grow from it, or it can break you. And it seems like when you take out that sparring, that important component, be at any level, the kid never learns. And I'm speaking to kids because, I think that's that next generation. And if we don't really build them, you're going to have people that are like we see in the world. They're not even emotionally prepared to deal with someone yelling and screaming at them.
Oh yeah, we are softening the society in a big way. It's coming from the school systems where, kids. We grew up in the hood, one thing in the hood, you find somebody's weak point,
right?
And these kids find the teacher's weak points, and they just kind of. They just hold that against them. You learn how to play people. You got to survive on that in the street. When it's like, you got to do this. You got to have the discipline to get through something. There's no excuses. See, nowadays, just excuses seem to matter.
Right.
And and you're not getting that discipline out there in life. Luckily, we had martial arts to really say, okay, you want to get to this place, you have to dig deep. And one thing about martial art is an individual effort. It's not a team effort. So one day, you can't, you're 2 feet from a split, the next and after a while, your foot
Right,
split, and then you're all the way down on the floor. Everything is in increments. Everything is these little plateaus that you have to break through, these obstacles that you have to overcome. And you learn that, and you go, wow, I can overcome these obstacles. And that's the greatest thing. It's not about being able to whoop somebody's behind or whatever. It's because you can overcome your obstacles if you have the discipline to do so.
And that it goes right back again. That was the reason why we put that Point MMA together. We just structured sparring. I mean, I think a lot of times when people ask me, I say, no, I didn't create anything new. I just added structure to what all the fighters were doing, like the Billies, the Nasties, and the William Olivers, and just we even got a technique in there where we call it the William Oliver technique. So I think, sometimes we also, when we talk about the American martial arts, we also done lost the history. We don't remember who were the pioneers, like Thomas LaPuppet, the first black guy to be in the Black Belt Hall of Fame. I mean, some kind of way we got to keep those memories connected, I think, to the American art, because without that, I think we get lost. So for me, putting Point MMA together, I look at my little kid, the youngest one. He ain't gonna never grow up in no hood, because we as a parent, we make their lives better. We don't. I want you to go through the struggle, but I ain't gonna take you back to the hood. You know what I'm saying? I done broke away from that. And even the older one, he might throw a joke like, I came up in. You got rescued from the hood. I'm gonna let that go, but you ain't really come from the hood like we came from. But still, that emotion of, your parents say, look, he want to fight, y'all fight. They on the porch while we out there fighting. And eventually when two warriors go into battle, once you get tired, ain't nobody doing no more blows, we hugging each other, and before you know it, man, let's go get a frozen cup. Y'all become the best of friends because of that internal battle. And that's what we wanted to do with Point MMA. I think I was saying before, I don't want my baby learning no elbows to no face right now. Because if he don't have the emotional control when a kid messes with him in school, what are you going to do? An elbow to the face. But if I can teach him how to, like you were saying, deal with that sort of emotional pressure of a sharp kick coming, because I would rather lose than to be embarrassed in a fight. And I always ask kids, I say, look, you got two things. We can fight, guy can bust your lip and you can walk away with honor, or a guy can just make you look like a clown. Pop, pop, pop. Which one hurts the most? Being made to look like a fool. Okay, so what's the whole object of having good technique? And I think that's all we were trying to do with Point MMA. We just want to carry on those things that you're talking about. You're right, even running a commercial school is a big missing link. Half the instructors don't even know martial arts. So we know that, I believe if the whole world if we can teach every child the principles that you talk about, I think we can change society. And you said that one time before. But it can't be taught without sparring. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, sparring is so necessary in my opinion, on so many levels. First of all, I mean, it's like one of the reasons why I always say you bow to your opponent is because that opponent is going to make you better than you would be on your own. All right. There's you can do techniques against a bag. But how about a bag that has his own mind and spirit and everything else? My philosophy is, even as an advanced person in fighting, I always want to train for even if I'm sparring an underbelt. Well, maybe I'll train myself to only move once his fist gets right here.
Right, okay.
Or I want to work my weaker techniques. Now, it's about me getting something out of it.
Yeah.
Now, if I beat on somebody who doesn't have the same ability, what have I learned? And what does that person learn?
Yeah.
But now, every time I step on the training floor, I'm going to be working at something. They're not going to know that I'm handicapping myself, or I'm going to do just this technique, or I'm going to block at the last second, or these things that try to make myself better. I'm getting better off of somebody who has half my experience. But every time I get out there, I'm working my weaker points. If I continue to do that, and hopefully I look forward to sparring with someone who I can use all my skills.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, sir.
after
Yes,
a
sir.
while, even your weak points come up, and then a lot of people won't be able to hang
Right,
with you,
right,
Because
right.
you've always been working, instead of feeding your ego and just saying, I'm just going to try to get the best of this person. I'm mentioning this as there's a whole lot of worlds in sparring where you can get better.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
how
sir. Yes.
I can even get better
Yes.
with somebody who is a beginner.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that aspect and that bow means the same thing. Thank you for letting me improve
Yes,
myself.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
You know?
sir. Yeah. Yeah.
And so you have to deal with your emotions, you have to deal with your breath, you have to deal with technique, you have to deal with so much.
Yeah.
You know, that's a necessary component in the martial arts. You know, there's some martial arts that are just like 80% form, or some even more than that now. You know, you can call it whatever, but to me that's not a complete system.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what's so beautiful point we made. We got the sparring, we got the fitness, we got the call to action, but I just think that in our society right now, our children gotta be, they gotta be emotionally strong. And you just hit on it right there. And even with all the school owners that we do talk to and we sell the program, even talking to people it's like what you're saying right now, what would you say to her? Because even though you're being an entertainer, everybody know that, man, this man can fight. He's a real martial artist. But sometimes people get it twisted because you don't want to be called master. You know, you love. In my school, I tell people, don't call me Master Bam. I ain't no Master Man. There's only one master. Just call me Professor Bam or Mr. Bam. But I love the art so much. I don't want to get to that point where the learning stops. And it seems like you're that same way where you just want to. You love the art. You're a perfectionist in just improving yourself. That's what you just said.
Yeah.
What would you say to these people? Because they have control of this next generation. If you could say something to a school owner or one of those masters out there that's working with these people, what would you say that can just help them to think about making a change to better the industry of martial arts right now?
Well, I think a lot of people have broken from their instructors and started their own system, and they consider themselves, you know, whether grandmaster, master, whatever. I just say, hey, you got to expect your students to do the same thing because that's what they saw. You know, so at a certain point, they're going to break away from you and do that same thing because you're not bound to anybody. You're not subordinate to somebody above you. Again, using the same analogy of the armed forces, there's always someone that is answered to. And that assures that the person at the top is still humble. See, now, when you are the master of your own, domain and style or whatever, if you forget to be humble with that, your students are going to forget to be humble.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's the thing is like, I just say, don't get caught up in the whole master thing. That drives me up a wall, personally.
Yes, sir.
Because it's like, when you just go down, historically, it's like, okay, the root of this martial art or that martial art is Chinese, Japanese, Korean. Where the hell did the word master come from? That's an English word.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so, I mean, that came from the movies, is where it came from. Because, you was either Sabonems, you was a sensei, or you was Shifu, or whatever. Where did master come from? But, people adopted it, and now they allow themselves to be, addressed by that. Okay, that's their prerogative. Don't call me that because I'm not with it.
Have you ever met the guy that say, "Oh, it's Master Mike"?
I can't stand that. I personally cannot stand that. I'm a senpai, a sensei, another style. It's that's what I'm an instructor. I'm a martial arts. I'm a black belt. Is what I am. Third dan in the highest one of my ranks, and that's it. That's enough.
That's enough.
That's absolutely enough. Why do I have to be called something else? I mean, a lot of times they call me that because they're uncomfortable with the term being used to them,
Right,
and then
right.
knowing my background, and and proclaiming themselves master or
Right,
grandmaster
right,
something,
right.
when they might have. I got folks who I taught that
Just call themselves
yeah. So it's just, it's funny.
Yeah, and I think with you being that action hero right now, there's nobody else right now that's doing what you're doing in films. You are that person that then took that torch. You're turning out movies. Not just are you just in action films, but you on regular TV doing regular acting. I think you are that hero, and I think people in the industry needs to, respect it. I talked to, a close friend of ours, and I said, man, it would be awesome to get Mike to come out and do some talks to some of these school owners because they need to know that. I mean, that principles and values that you represent, that's what's lost. I mean, and if we don't get that back, you can forget the art's changing.
Well, it's just sadly, it's a lot of people start the art as insecure human beings. Most of us, I think, most of us.
Put my head up.
Right.
Yeah.
But now, with power comes corruption.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And you wind up becoming the same person that you were when you started, because now there's no checks and balances. You're not answering to anybody. Now your ego's free to just fly.
Right.
That's what happens. That's why we got so many grandmasters and 12-year-old fourth-degree black belts, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I almost feel like, okay, maybe you should call this something else. Maybe it shouldn't be called karate, or maybe you should give it another name and call it something. But I mean, it's gotten a little crazy.
What you said is Tony Blauer, the guy that created Panic Attack. He said that to me one time. He said, "Man, how do guys who were once being bullied become the bully? That makes no sense." And you're right. We now become the bully. And even the thing you said about it should be a different name. What we want to do with Point MMA, how can we make martial arts like basketball or baseball? But it's an aspect of martial arts. It's not martial arts.
The biggest problem is you got martial arts is what people's perception of it is. And if their perception is skewed, then you got a problem right there. Because it's like, I don't care how many people, I don't care if they're like masters of industry, that they hear I'm a martial artist, they go, "Oh man, I don't want to mess with you. Oh, don't kick me in the head." It's like, okay, what is their understanding of a martial artist? It's like that I'm this dangerous person all of a sudden. Or how about you would probably be more likely to lose your control than I would.
Right.
Almost everybody in this room would probably lose control before me. That's what, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like everybody's perception. Like, people have a perception of what an actor is supposed to act like. And if I don't meet that perception, something's wrong. How come you ain't got no bodyguards? Really? But their perception is that you're supposed to walk around with an entourage of bodyguards. So so in the same way, with martial arts, we have to deal with people's perceptions of what it is, and then even people who are not humble, they're not. That's going on a long time. They're not going to change overnight. And plus, when they don't know,
no other way.
They don't know any other way. If they got taught by somebody who's,
most of us did.
There's somebody who's like, got in it because it's about fighting or got in it for other reasons. It's just kind of like, again, analogy being armed forces. You got the Navy SEALs, you got the Army, and you got all these little militias running around.
Right.
Now, these little militias might be run by somebody named Jethro. And Jethro, he's going to have his followers. It's going to be smaller, but he's going to be the self-proclaimed leader of this little militia. And so martial arts has a bunch of these little militias around. You can tell Jethro till you're blue in the face, that he should be doing this,
Yeah.
he may not compute.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but the Navy SEALs has a hierarchy. The Navy SEALs have a specific type of person that is galvanized
Yeah.
from that training.
Yeah.
The Navy SEAL says, he'll see you at 2:00. He's
Yeah.
there at
Yeah.
1:45.
Yeah.
It's a certain type of individual that used to be attributed to black belts.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
You couldn't tell a Navy SEAL from a black belt back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were as staunch and as serious,
Yeah.
you know, and as deadly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not so today.
And I think, I mean, I'm honored to know that I feel like I have that respect when you give me an interview, and some of the great people I sit down with and give me interviews and share that philosophy. I believe it's just a seal of approval to say all we're trying to do is contribute to trying to come back close to bringing back the tradition.
Mm-hmm.
That traditional core value of building character. Because that, even as a father, I want my kid to be more, when pressure comes, I want you to be a man that rides with character, not with these.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we know how to use these, then that less likely we're going to want to use them in the hood.
Yeah.
You know, we know on the street the best, the smartest guys, the one that talk his way out of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Even the killer don't want to be shooting out because that's going to mess up money, man. Come on, you know, I don't want no violence.
Right.
And I think that's what we're trying to do with everything that I do with the Point MMA and the Crazy Athletics. But I can't change the old guys, but I can change that next generation.
Yeah.
And if you, I mean, do you think just in our talk, and this, even knowing me, how do you think, do you think, just not, I don't know if you've seen it, but what would you think, even the concept, do you think it can change and help in some capacity to Point MMA Crazy Athletics, like I explained it?
Well, I think so, but but plain and simple, the factor that brings me sitting here is you more than anything else.
Thank you, sir.
Is because I believe in you. I know what your heart is, and so I knew that long time ago. So that's just the simple. You know what I mean, you know, I know what you're cut from, so it's an easy thing for me. And of course, I'm gonna support whatever that is. That's why I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know what I mean? You know, just to be truthful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, inside the dojo, man, my students always say, man, bring out the towel when Professor Bam get to start, you know, because the tears come down. But, you know, I say it again, man, just like when you was great come down, I said, just knowing you and knowing your spirit, it would give a guy like me hope. Just having that relationship with you and Byron and people that you know you look up to. And I know any kid out there right now, I just say to you, man, don't give up, man. I mean, look at what we come from, but look at what we can do. As we believe in your dream and you grit it out and you hold on and show respect, in the end, I believe the man with respect always rises to the top. What do you think, sir?
I absolutely believe that. I used to call it superstitious because I got in this industry and I never, ever sold out. I never made a BS friendship. I just would be honest to a fault. I wouldn't lie to nobody, even if it made my trek longer.
Yeah, yes,
you know,
sir.
I
Yeah.
never played the game.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I got to do it my way. And eventually, I mean, I started getting the roles, and it was not because of somebody I knew.
Mm-hmm.
It was because of the hard work I put in.
Yeah.
And then it was beautiful because I got there, and I know it was from the effort, my own effort, and I don't have to. I can look in the mirror. I don't say, well, I owe this person this. You know, I did this, and I kind of like, you know, sidestep this or that.
Right.
You know, so by me being honest and straight up, you know, I have like the freedom of like knowing that, you know, that I didn't sell out to anything. And I spoke my heart and my mind, and you know, it was never anything that I had that altered me from anything. So yeah, I completely believe in that. You know, it's just put your work in.
Yeah, that's right. Inside the dojo, Michael Jai White, peace and blessings. You good? We worked you, right?
Arm is gone.
That's a part of his black belt test.